Welcome to Divorce Mortgage Strategies, brought to you by the Divorce Lending Association, where clarity meets strategy in the financial side of divorce. Whether you're a family law professional, a financial expert, or someone navigating the complexities of divorce yourself, this podcast is your go-to resource for trusted insight into how real property and mortgage financing intersect with divorce outcomes. We don't just talk about houses. We talk about strategic solutions that protect futures. Let's dive in. Today, we welcome host, certified divorce lending professional Carla Kite, and her guest, licensed legal paraprofessional Tracy Spiegel.
I'm Carla Kite with My Divorce Mortgage Planning, and today I have Tracy Spiegel. She is with Thrive Family Law in a joint partnership with the attorney Jamie Payne. And so I'm doing this little series, if you want to call it that, and I'm interviewing as many LLPs in the state of Colorado that I can find, because honestly, the consumers in Colorado need to know and need to be aware of this option when they are going through divorce. So you guys have probably heard me say this before. The LLPs the first class was inducted in June of 2024. So this is fairly new in the state of Colorado, but I think it's thriving and doing really well. One of the things that I am most impressed with the LLP community is how connected and how supportive you all are of each other. And I feel like you have gone above and beyond to really make sure that you guys are doing this right and you're taking the right steps. Because, I know there's a fair amount of attorneys that are kind of not on board with what you guys are doing. But I'm going to let you talk just briefly let me let you just talk about yourself a little bit and how did you get into this? How long have you been in family law? What is your history?
So I have been a paralegal for 25 years, and I'm coming up on this June will be 20 years exclusively in family law. So I did a bit of civil before, was not my calling for sure, and family law definitely is. So I laugh and joke that I always knew I wanted to be, I thought, a lawyer ever since I was a little kid. I guess I was good at arguing, I don't know, but I always knew that I wanted to be involved in the law. And, my path, law school's expensive, like everybody knows. So it kind of took me, the paralegal path was definitely, it's less expensive, but still would allow me to work in the law like I wanted to.
Yeah, amazing. And
Yeah.
it's amazing that you have that much experience.
A long time. And it's kind of funny when you think about the first cohort, that's what we call it, of LLPs that took the first exam. I think the majority of us had at least 10 plus years exclusively in family law as a paralegal. So especially that first group of LLPs, we may only have been licensed, for coming up on 2 years now, but we really do have a lot of experience.
And I've learned that just in interviewing you and, getting to know more of you that, yeah, that first cohort has years and years of experience.
It's where all the OGs were, for
yeah,
sure.
for sure. So at what point did you meet Jamie and start working with her?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jamie and I have been working together for about 6 years now. Jamie's a former prosecutor, and then she came into family law. So she was, about 6 years ago, she came in as kind of my baby attorney. I was working for another attorney at the time, and Jamie came in as our associate. So that allowed the other attorney and I to kind of mentor Jamie, teach her family law, which is definitely her calling. So
yeah. And I mean, I think any attorney will admit it that, it's just like having any other specialty in any other line of work, right? Like
yeah,
a family doctor does not necessarily know how to do heart surgery.
absolutely.
And so when you start in that specialty, you really have to take some time to understand it and learn it. And
Yeah.
okay, so when did you guys then start your own firm? That's been somewhat recently, right?
Yeah, it is pretty recent. So Jamie and I did go out on our own in October of 2024. We started our own firm. So after the LLPs came to be and I passed and everything, one of the kind of neat things is that that would allow us now to have ownership interest in a law firm. where before paralegals were not allowed to do that. So you have to have a law license to have that ownership. So Jamie and I, we are partners in our business. I have an ownership interest in the business. So that's definitely new and one of the different ways LLPs operate. But yeah, we did start our own firm back in October of 2024, and it's been great.
Super exciting.
Yes, very
Yeah.
exciting.
Well, and I know, in December there were some restrictions that were lifted off of the LLPs. So do you want to talk a little bit about those and how you feel about that?
Yeah, sure. It's kind of funny right now. Anytime LLPs get together, like you said, we're very supportive of one another. We have a committee, we have lots of events and stuff where we try to get together. Recently, since that December law has been passed, the conversations have been like, have you been to court yet? Are you going to
Yeah.
court? So we could go to court previously, but it was very limited in the things that we were allowed to do for our clients in court. So that's now been expanded, and now we can question witnesses, we can engage experts. There honestly isn't a lot in court that we can't do than an attorney can do. So they've definitely kind of leveled that playing field for us. Our hands aren't as tied as much in court as they once previously were. And that just allows us to help more people and to help our clients in court.
Yeah. Awesome. And I know, I know not everybody is comfortable even doing that, right? And
Yeah.
so I think like for those of you that I know that you and Jamie left and you started your own firm, but you're still in a firm
Mhm.
with an attorney. And so, I mean, I guess if you were uncomfortable at all, that's something that Jamie could step in on.
Absolutely. So I'm lucky in that I do have that option. LLPs who are on their own right now, if they take a case, they're kind of expected to do all of the things that LLPs can do,
Mhm.
um, which sort of could be unfair because when we first took this exam, I heard one LLP put it, that's not necessarily what we signed up for. And she's correct.
Yeah.
We, at the time, thought that we weren't going to be able to cross-examine witnesses and examine witnesses and deal with experts. So there were all these things that we hadn't kind of wrapped our brain around doing. And now we have that ability. So it's nice, especially for me, that I can decide kind of what I want my limitations to be or if I want any limitations. Jamie and I do work together as a cohesive unit. So
Yeah.
yeah, clients kind of, even if I'm running the case, I can always go to her. And if there is something that comes up in the case that I feel is kind of just too big for me, not even necessarily, of course, if it's beyond my scope, I would bring Jamie in, but if it's just too big for what I'm comfortable with, I can always bring her in to assist me with that, whether that be court or dealing with an expert. I'm very comfortable in mediation, so I can't really see an instance when I would need to bring her in that, but definitely if there's some type of a hearing that I'm not comfortable with, yeah, we
Yeah.
partner and she knows everything about my cases.
Yeah. So you mentioned that for Jamie, family law was definitely her calling. I think I know why, because I read some stuff on LinkedIn recently that she shared, which is
Yeah.
amazing. Do you think family law is your calling? And if so, why?
Yeah, it's funny. I absolutely do. Jamie and I we're similar, but we're also opposites. We always laugh that she's the optimist, and I don't like to say pessimist. I say I'm the realist. Um,
I
so I don't know if you've
think
ever
I'm more like
yeah,
you. I get it.
I'm the realist. It's not necessarily bad. It's just the real. But I do think family law is my calling. I had when I got my first family law job, I told them I'm like I always wanted to practice family law. I kind of fell into civil law, didn't love it. You need a job and I want to do law, so that was the
Yeah.
first job. But when I was really seeking, I was looking for family law jobs, and that was back in 2006. And like I said, yeah, every job I've had since then has been exclusively family law. That's all Jamie and I practice. We do
Mhm.
some protection orders, which can be kind of on the civil side sometimes, but it's always dealing with couples and families. And yeah, I definitely think that's my calling as well.
So is there a case without obviously talking specifics, but is there a case that stands out that you think back on and you're like, yep, that's why I'm here?
Yeah, it's actually funny. There is, I mean, there are a couple of cases, but there
Probably.
is one that was very early on in my career. I would say I'd only been a family law paralegal for maybe 2 or 3 years at the time.
Hmm.
And my attorney and I, we worked very hard on this case where our client she was actually female, was having no parenting time with her 3 children. And father had actually moved them out of state. She was having no time. And I just feel like we worked really hard. I mean, even taking issues in that case up to the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals, and finally got her some parenting time where she could have a meaningful relationship with these boys. And that's
Yeah.
just a case, yeah, even it's been that long ago, I'll never forget it. And
Wow.
it does make it as hard as these cases are, and they are very hard. Divorce is hard. I've been through it myself, so I can definitely relate to clients. Child custody, it's even harder when children are involved, but it's really nice to see that there's a reason why we do this and that it does make a positive impact.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Where do you think, now you and I had a little bit of a chat before, and of course, we're not naming any names, but you had said that you had a discussion with an LLP and there was a judge that was
Yeah.
not aware of the LLP designation and what it was that you guys did. So clearly we need to get the word out, right? Even more.
Yeah.
You would think they would know, but where do you think, as an LLP, who are you really here to serve? Like, what was the designation for it? I know, but I want you to,
Yeah.
I mean, especially after 2 years being in, like, who are the people that you're helping?
Yeah, so the LLP program, as you know, was developed to solve an access to justice issue. As a law firm, I mean, obviously, we want to help people, but we also have to make money. So we do charge for our services. But what it also allows us to do that we could not do before, we could volunteer somewhat as a paralegal, but I do a lot of volunteer work through Metro Volunteer Lawyers, and that allows me to meet with clients, to give them legal advice that I couldn't before, assist them with filling out documents. So it really does allow LLPs to bridge that gap where people were not getting access to legal advice, to counsel as they needed. There are so many pro se parties in the court
Yeah,
system, and that was what this program is trying to alleviate. Even if we do charge for our services, so we're not doing it through Metro Volunteer Lawyers or on a pro bono basis, we still are much lower hourly rate than an attorney, and we can do most things that the attorney can do. So if your case isn't extremely complex or you don't have super crazy issues in your case, an LLP can absolutely assist you through the process in court if needed, even to contested
yeah.
hearings, mediation at that much lower rate.
There are so many people that go on. I spoke to a woman today and was practically begging her. And she can afford it. She doesn't want to pay for it like a lot of
Yeah,
people want to pay for it. And then there's also, people just get the attorney thing in their head, which I mean, you're the same. You are very much the same as an attorney. So like if
yeah,
that's their issue, that's their issue.
yeah.
But and I even tell her, I'm like, with all of the knowledge that I have, I've had my designation since 2017, and I've been working 100% in this space for over 3 years now. Even with all the information that I have, I would not do this by myself. I,
Hmm.
I would not. First of all, it would completely drain me, like
Yeah.
mentally and probably physically too, because it is a full-time job, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think the only thing to say about the LLPs is that it's just a more affordable route to go. People are still going to use the attorneys, and you know that because that's
Yeah.
your partnership, right?
Hmm.
You have both cases going through. Some are
Yeah.
using you and some are using Jamie, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just in a more affordable way. And I always used to tell people, even when I was talking to clients, to bring them in to meet with Jamie, get some advice. Even if you plan to do this process on your own and think that you can, put the time and energy in it that it takes for you to do it on your own, get some advice and just make sure that you're doing it the right way, that what you're thinking is correct. Because if you haven't done this before and you don't do this every day like we do,
Nope.
why would you know? How would you know? Please don't ask Chat GPT because that's terrifying, which a lot of
Right.
people do nowadays. Um,
Yeah.
just like you would consult your doctor if you have a medical issue, consult a counsel if you have a legal issue. At least get some advice. And an LLP is just an easier, more cost-effective way to do that. If you need help through the process, again, our hourly rate allows us to do that kind of in a more cost-effective way.
Mhm.
But you may still need people to guide you in documents that need to be filed. Even if your case is amicable, the court still requires certain things to be filed, deadlines to be followed. And if
Yes.
you don't do this all the time, that's going to be very difficult to do on your own.
Yeah. That's exactly what I told her. Furthermore, it's none of my business, but I felt like what she was negotiating probably was not going to get approved anyway.
Yeah.
It can't just be one-sided. And I know that. And I know I've had people get turned away from the judge and say, go fix this and I'll see you back here in a month because
Yeah.
this is not, you did not do your separation within the law, right?
Right. And we've
Um,
seen that and we know what's likely to be approved, what's fair and equitable. We can tell our clients that if they're going to agree to something outside of that, okay. But like you said, can't be one-sided.
yeah. So I've heard a couple of LLPs throw out the term unbundled
Mhm.
services. So is that something that you guys offer also? And can you kind of explain that?
Yeah, we absolutely do. So unbundled services it's pretty much where you work with counsel, an LLP or an attorney, but they don't represent you. So we're not, in that case, we're helping you with documents, we're helping you with deadlines, things that need to come next. We can help you in mediation. We can look at things that you and your other party have agreed to, let you know if we think that that's a good deal for you, it's not. But we're not tracking deadlines. We're not going to
Mm,
court, those sort of
I
things.
see.
So that's the difference there.
That's something that kind of unique to the LLP, or is that something that's kind of always been offered by attorneys or?
Yeah, I think it's always been offered by attorneys. Some attorneys didn't like to do it before, but as far as working with Jamie has always done that, and it's
Okay.
something that I absolutely offer. Another thing that we offer too is if you don't want to go into the full retaining counsel or the retaining an unbundled counsel, you can also consult. We offer consultations. We do charge for those, but that's because you're getting legal advice specific to your case. Again, we're not just meeting and greeting you. Hi, I'm Tracy, that sort of thing. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of what your concerns are and talk about those. So a lot of people choose to just maybe meet with an LLP or an attorney once, get some information and advice, learn what documents have to be filed, and then they can go about it on their own from there if it's a simple case.
Yeah, for sure. So when you say that, and I don't do free consultations. So do you guys do any free consultations or is it all paid?
We actually only do paid consultations, and the reason
Good
for
for
that
you.
is, yeah, as I said before, it's not just a meet and greet. We're going to sit down with you, we're going to talk to you about what your concerns are, and you're going to walk away with legal advice specific to what your issues and concerns
Okay.
are.
Yeah. So I just have to say something about that because believe me, I talk to clients all the time and I hear stories. I mean, just one
Yeah.
last week was telling me that she's not retaining anybody. When she needs help, she just schedules a free consultation with like the next attorney. And
Oh,
I know it's
oh.
crazy. Like I cannot imagine going through my divorce like that. Like what, a
No,
complete waste
and
of
my
time.
concern would be that there are some questions that you can ask counsel that you may get different answers depending on what the question is. And if you're not at least consulting with the same counsel, how are they going to know everything about your story and your case to actually give you that legal advice that's,
Yeah,
right for what's going on in your situation? That's
yeah.
scary.
No, I'm on board with you
Yeah.
100%. And you're one of the first that I've interviewed that is not doing free consults.
Yeah.
So it's very time consuming. That's why I had to stop. My calendar was just full of free consultations. So
Yeah, and again,
yeah,
it's like I said, it's not a money grab. We don't do
right.
it because, we're after your money, nothing like that. It's just that, our time, expertise, that's what you're wanting, and that's what, just like any other professional, you're paying for. So again, it's
Yeah,
not just a meet and greet. We're not giving you a general overview of what divorce is or what child custody is. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty, talk to you about what questions you have, and talk about the law surrounding those.
yeah. No, I think that's perfect. So I think we can wrap this up unless
All
there's
right.
anything else that you want to add about yourself or
I just
the
want to thank
firm.
you again for doing this. It's so great, and I'm just really appreciative to all the support that you've given to LLPs. And again, we want to help people. We are here to do that. And again, we're not taking away from attorneys. They still have plenty of cases. We're just trying to help where we can and do what we can for a lower rate for people that maybe can't afford that higher rate.
Yeah, for sure. So where do they find you guys if they're trying to find you in jail?
Yeah, so you can find us first off on our website. It's thrivefamilylaw.com. There are profiles of Jamie, myself, and also we have an associate attorney, Aretha, who's wonderful in our office. There are tons of testimonials from our clients if you'd like to read about ways we've helped them or Google reviews. Please feel free. That's just great to have our clients put those wonderful words out there. But we would, yeah, love to help anybody that we can in this family law arena.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for
You.
joining me on this call today. And I think we have some meetings coming up. So I'm really looking
Awesome.
forward to getting to know you and Jamie a little bit.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Divorce Mortgage Strategies, powered by the Divorce Lending Association. If today's conversation brought you clarity, insight, or inspiration, we encourage you to subscribe and share this episode with others in your circle. For more resources, or to connect with a certified divorce lending professional in your area, visit divorcelendingassociation.com. And be sure to download the free Divorce Strategy Hub mobile app for tools, education, and support designed to guide you through the financial side of divorce. Until next time, remember, in divorce, the mortgage isn't the problem, it's the plan.